In this video we're going to be covering the rest of the frame data that we didn't cover in the first one, and that is going to be recovery frames, cancel frames, and active frames. And I strongly suggest that you have a strong understanding of the startup, block advantage, and hit advantage before you go into watching this video. Yo, what's up guys, Shujinkydink here with another video to entertain or assist you in becoming the better Injustice 2 player. And this video is all about frame data. Oh yeah, everyone's favorite thing. This is a little bit heavy, like I mentioned. If you haven't watched the first video, check that out somewhere up here. That'll kind of help introduce you to what we're about to talk about today. So I picked Power Girl because she has a lot of, she demonstrates a lot of what I want to talk about today. So we're going to go into active frames first. So active frames basically are how long the hurt box on a move is active for. So hurt box is the area around the move that actually hits the opponent. Because you know, if you do like a standing 3, let's say for example, or standing 2, or standing 1, not all of those are going to be able to hit the opponent in the same round of time. Like if somebody jumps at you, you might have more time to hit this, and the timing might be a little bit more strict on something like this. So you can tell this by looking at our active frames. So let's look at anti-airs first. So let's say we want to decide what's a better anti-air between standing 2, or standing 1 and down 2. We obviously know the answer to this, if any Supergirl players or Power Girl players out there, but we're going to use frame data here to just kind of figure it out. So the star jab, looking at the active frames, is there's only 2 active frames on this move. So that means that when this move stands up, there's only 2 frames that can actually hit them. If you miss that 2-frame window, they're going to jump in on you and it's going to suck. Now if we look at the down 2 has 6 active frames, which is actually quite a bit longer. So if they jump at you, there's more likely that you will hit them with this move because there's more frames available for you to actually hit the opponent with. Another factor that factors into this is the size of the hitbox as well. This is a very small hitbox. This is quite a bit larger hitbox. So if you combine both those two things, you get an awesome anti-air. But looking at the active frames, this would be a smarter move to use, as it has more active frames, is more likely and easier to time to anti-air an opponent. You can use the same with jump-in punches. As you see, the jump 1 has 15 active frames, which is very, very good. Jump 2 has 11 active frames, and the jump 3 only has 5 active frames. So you can kind of, if you're not sure whether your opponent's going to jump at you, like say you're going for an air-to-air situation where you kind of want to maybe jump at your opponent, but like last minute you see that they jump at you, you can tap the 1 button. That will hit anywhere from pretty much the top of the screen down to your opponent. So we'll hit them out of the air if they decide to jump, but you will also hit them on the ground because it has so many active frames. Whereas with the jump 3, you kind of have to make a read on whether it's going to happen or not. You have to either commit to the jump in or try to hit them out of the air because there's not as much active frames. So that's pretty much active frames in a nutshell. Let's move on to recovery frames. So recovery frames are basically how long it takes a move to recover once it misses, before you can block or whatnot again. So I chose Firestorm because a lot of the times I'll just do a standing 1 because it looks like a fireball, just to kind of get opponents to move. It recovers quickly, fairly quickly. Recovers in 17 frames. So you can see I press 1 and then I immediately hold down, and that's how many frames it takes me to recover into a blocking state. So this is useful to know if you ever want to do something like that where you just want to stagger like some moves. Also, you don't really want to do moves that take a long time to recover unless they're actually going to be blocked. So we're going to do the same thing with Supergirl. We're going to do her back 2 1+3 string, and we are going to hold down to block right after we miss it. Look how long it takes her to get into a block state. That is freaking forever. You never want to whiff that move ever. So let's go look at the frames on it. See if it confirms what we think. So if you look here, we got recovery frames of 52. That is ridiculous. That is forever in fighting games. And you can totally see that. She totally whiffs it as well. So that's kind of how you tell, you know, what moves are kind of safe to throw out there and which ones aren't. Back 1, for example, recovers fairly quickly. 19 recovery frames. Usually if you're under 20, you're in the clear. It's really hard for people to whiff punish at that kind of a distance. And lastly, this is the most complicated one, but it's also one of the most important ones to know because it tells you where your gaps are. So I chose Supergirl for this example because a lot of people, myself included, like to do the back 1-2 into the ice breath. Does that make sense on block though? Let's reset the AI to always, reversal mode, dash backwards. So you can see the AI was able to dash out. But why was he able to dash out? Luckily the hitbox on the breath is big enough it's going to catch him anyways, but that tells us that there's a gap in that string. So that's where we go to the final one, which is cancel advantage. So this involves a little bit of math, which kind of sucks. I know none of us really like math here, but if we do, let's say we do back 1-2 on block. Back 1-2 is minus 11. We see that in our block advantage. And then we want to cancel that into a special move. So we take our cancel advantage and we have to minus the block advantage from it. So in this case, we have a cancel advantage of 21 frames and we minus 11 frames from block. So that would leave us at 10 frames of cancel advantage. Now if we look at the startup of the Frost Breath here, the startup is 16 frames. So because we only have 10 frames to cancel into our special move, that leaves 6 frames where the opponent can poke us. So if they have a 6-frame poke, you can poke them out of it. You can backdash, you can armor. This is really important to tell exactly where your gaps are in your strings. And like I said, it requires a little bit of math, and you can do the same off of pretty much any other string. Calculate your own. You'll find a lot of strings aren't actually special cancelable, so I'm not really sure why they include the frame data for those, unless I'm completely missing something. Like 1-1-2, for example, is not special cancelable. There's also a gap in the end there. So let's pick an example where we could actually do something to jail. So if we do the, let's go with the standing 1-1 here. So the block advantage is minus 6 with a cancel advantage of 17. So if we take our cancel advantage of 17 and we minus the 6 from it, that leaves us at 11 frames of cancel advantage. Now what can we link into that to make it work? Well, we go to our special moves and we're like, oh, the Rising Sunstrike is a 10-frame startup. I have 11 frames of cancel advantage, so if I do 1-1 Rising Sunstrike, that should jail. Correct? Let's find out. Sure enough, it does. There's no gap there. He can't dash backwards. We have done our math correctly and figured out a good block string to safely go into that special move. Anyways, guys, I hope you didn't find this too confusing. Feel free to post in the comments if you need any clarification on what I went over, because I know this stuff can get a little bit tricky and complicated, but if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe because we make videos like this every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks and all that stuff, and we'll see all you guys in the next video.
Accept your death.